Hello, and welcome to the Greater Statesville Chamber of Commerce 2024 Candidate Podcast, where we have the opportunity to interview candidates that are vying for local, state, and federal office. And I'm pleased to be joined right now by Melissa Neader, who's the current chair of the Iredell County Commission and is running for re-election.
That's
Welcome.
correct. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Well, tell us about Melissa, for those that don't know.
All right. So I am a lifelong resident of Iredell County. My husband and I, Mike, are retired from over 30 years as franchisees for a local McDonald's. At one time, we owned all the McDonald's in Iredell County, and that really gave me an opportunity to really spend time directly in the community. We've got 3 grown children, all 3 living, working, and volunteering right here in Iredell County. I am filled with enthusiasm, energy. I also have faith-filled values of hard work and caring about other people. And you might hear me at times on Motivational Monday with Melissa out at WAME interviewing and talking with people who are active in the community and inspiring other folks to be involved in the community. I'm concerned about our growth, concerned about changes. Being here my whole life, I've seen a whole lot of change. Mm-hmm. So that's something we've got to focus on, talk about, and start planning because it's coming. You know, we've got to be prepared and look for some compatible growth. I'm focused on the common sense, balanced government. We've got to have it, but at what limit is it too much? Those pieces of it, because we've got to rely on the services, and the county's going to work with the municipalities and the cities, areas, towns, see what's going on there, but it's a different role and responsibility. So I'm glad to be here today. I'm truly involved in the community. I show up, I participate, and I get work done. I'm ready to continue that work.
When I sat on the dais on the other side of Center Street, mm-hmm. I used to kid my friends, you too, that what do you guys do? I mean, you're not building roads like we are. You don't have infrastructure.
Right.
You're no water, no sewer.
Right.
What the heck? No electricity. Right. What the heck do you do?
That's right.
What's the most important role of a county commissioner?
And we do have 26 departments. Mm-hmm. And there are 19 volunteer fire departments. We have the Iredell Rescue Squad. And it's hard to describe in just a few moments, but it is taking care of the people, working directly with the municipalities, seeing where they're growing, making sure as we plan for the future where things should wind up, such as, if you're going to drive or have a business where you rely on semi-trucks, you're going to need that closer to the interstate. So it's working on the overlays, the growth, the plans on those pieces too. So, oh my gosh, everything from election services to animal services to veteran services. You got your library, you've got solid waste, all these different pieces of things that really, if you didn't have it, you'd miss it. Things that you don't even think about until it's gone. So the county provides a lot of services on that end of it too, and everything that happens within the borders of Iredell County affects the people, and it affects us at county level too.
Sure, and let's not forget about the school system too. I mean, the funding.
I'm glad you bring that up. I was wondering when the questions would arise. Shall we just dive right in on that?
Jump right in.
Okay, so as we see the growth and the change, schools are built. It's a mandate. It's required of the county to build those schools. However, we're not required to do the design process and such. So we've got to understand our roles when we receive a request from Iredell Statesville Schools or Mooresville Graded and Mitchell, as we work with all 3 systems. They'll bring us a price, an estimate on things, and then we'll have to say, too much, this is where we're at. So it's been a wild ride since the $80 million bond, and it's interesting. So, I was sitting in a seat about 4 years ago discussing an $80 million bond for school projects, and that included Iredell Statesville Schools High School. I'm sitting in the re-election seat again, and we're still having to talk about building a school. It's stressful. I'm very concerned about how we're going to navigate that. However, with the request that came in early on, in 2023, early on, it was at $200 million mark estimated by Iredell Statesville Schools. The commissioners went back and we had discussion and thought with staff, but amongst ourselves, we agreed on $120 million. ISS is going to have some difficult decisions to make. Mm-hmm. That's an $80 million bond. That's $40 million the county is going to have to borrow. It's $120 million. Mm-hmm. Tough decision. But wait, there's more. And with that, I say, elementary school. The need may even, come up sooner than later. Honestly, they mentioned Definitely an elementary school. So we did something in our budget this year. It was unprecedented. We set aside $10 million already. All right. So we've had to do the $40 million loan for the high school, $80 million bond on the high school. So setting aside $10 million each year to save, and then no loan for an elementary school is our goal.
Okay.
So we would save on the interest. You know a lot about interest. You know about a lot in your line of work. So it's important too. And as far as other capital projects in the county, so when we're doing any of kind of our builds, we always save. So when people say, what are you going to do with all that money? We're saving. We don't take out a loan. We're a pay-go. So that is an important way to save the taxpayers' money as well.
Well,
So,
and I'm glad you brought that up because Iredell County, if I'm correct, 9th lowest tax rate in the state. Is that right?
I believe we're
Ad
there.
valorem rate?
Right.
That to me says we're very fiscally responsible.
We are.
Okay.
We have a high bond rating, and all these pieces of it. It really matters, too, when you look at things.
Can the county, and obviously it has, but can you get what you need accomplished where we are with the tax rates?
Yes.
We've
It's
got
long-range-
explosive growth.
That's right. That's right. So long-range planning, we look at 8 years out at least. And that's why you take hits immediately. But we're planning for the future. It is key that we look further. I mean, you can sit here and today, but we're planning for tomorrow. You got to learn from yesterday. But you got to plan for, from the future on down the road. It's like where the need's at. So as a matter of fact, we'll be meeting in March, later in March, once the bids come back in from the school, and set aside and look at our capital needs, where we're at, what needs to be done. I mean, if you look, the courthouse, we're out of room.
Sure.
Out of room on that one, too. So the world doesn't stop turning. The growth still continues to go, but we've got to shape it how it's going to be beneficial. And we're relying on taxpayers. And the truth is, we can't put those impact fees. Many years back, it was stated at state level that we're not allowed to charge impact fees on developers that truly impact our citizens. So it's a rather unique term when you say impact. And it's just there's no interest at this time that I'm aware of for any legislation on that. But we're going to talk about that with our state representatives and say, hey, those who come in here and build, where's their responsibility lie? Because
Where's the
it's
contribution?
Right, exactly.
Sure.
So,
Something near and dear to my heart: economic development.
oh yes,
We're a very diverse county. You've got north of I-40 and you have south of I-40.
absolutely.
But at the same time, we want to preserve our farmland.
Oh yeah.
That's very important too. How do you balance those? What are you looking for in terms of economic development?
And that's interesting because we just had a breakfast this morning discussing economic development, and it is finding what's going to work in the area because we are so diverse, and keeping that diverse tax base too is another helpful piece. So it's to help with funding for the county. But I was just up in Love Valley, riding around with the Mayor Meadows, and I've spoken with Sean Turner, Mayor in Harmony. You got to listen to the people too. What's going to be compatible for that area? What do they need as far as growth? Because we've got to be able to provide, and I love the fact we can pull in companies that provide above average living wage. That's critical. So people can be able to have those jobs, stay here, work here, educate our kids to stay. We're building the schools, educate them, keep them here. Companies are talking about needing employees. Times have changed where there's more openings than there are people. So that's a part of it. As far as the economic piece, I'm telling you, William, we've really got to make sure we're strategic of where it's placed. Is it going to maximize that location? Is the infrastructure ready to roll? And working with the municipalities and the EDC to bring in companies, or not just bring in new. We've got to expand the ones we've got. Work with those folks who've already got their footprint right here. They're the people that have been here. Their business is employing our people. What can they do as well as far as bringing in some of their suppliers?
Sure.
So partnerships, it really, really matters. It's got to be thoughtful. It can't just be put here and there.
Sure.
So
Fast forward to November, you wake up and have been reelected. What's priority number one?
that's interesting. It'll really show up here in March.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for just a moment. And then priority number one, I won't forget your priorities. Okay. But a lot of folks don't realize that in Iredell County, that the primary election is really key to finding out who your next people are going to be. So I encourage folks, get out to the primary election, vote. There are 7 candidates for 3 seats on the Republican ticket. So it's going to make a huge difference that out of those 7, 4 go home, and they won't even have a chance on the November ticket. So I'm asking folks to make sure you get out during that. Early voting is coming up February 15th.
Thursday.
Yeah,
Right.
it's come right around the corner. So that's critical to vote, be a part, not to mention in America, my word, it's a great place to go vote. I mean, all the things. But so my priorities, we've got to look, and we even talked about this one time, what keeps you up at night? Emergency services, providing the people we need, EMS, the openings that we have. We're working on the apprenticeship program. But if you can't take care of your people, I'm concerned. However, so we've got great staff at EMS, but we want to grow that. We're going to need to be able to provide more people in that line of work, more services, taking care of our citizens on that one. And then the other piece of it is I think we need to look at, as the rooftops form, and it's impacting our county citizens too, folks who've been living in the country, they like the look of the country. Let's take a look at how those houses are coming in. What can we do around them? And, I was reading an interesting article, and I got to finish it up, though. It was a study done by NC State University about how you can have conservation subdivisions, and you leave a section of open space alone. It can even be used for farmland. But you build the closer homes for folks who don't want the big yard to keep up with, but yet you have the natural space. There's some ways to look at things.
There's a balance.
There is. There is, because it's like once you lose a tree, it's going to take a few years to get that back.
Sure.
So it's all these pieces that have shaped what our county looks like. And we want it to grow in a way that everybody still feels like they're at home.
Right.
That matters.
So in the last few minutes that we have left, why Melissa Neader? Why vote for Melissa Neader?
I've truly felt led to this seat. Even back years ago, I started looking at running for office. I guess it's back in 2016. And then it wasn't quite time yet. There were several things we had with our business and the kids, all those pieces. And it came to the point where in 2020, everything lined up. There were 2 empty seats at that time. I'm like, I'm ready to serve. I've done my homework. I've done my work. I've been involved in a community. I have learned so much in this seat as a commissioner over this past, it's over 3 years. So I'm bringing in all I've done community-wise, knowing the people across the county, the energy level that I've got. I'm retired. I'm ready to continue to serve, and I can take what I've learned and where I want to see us go, and I listen to people. That is a key thing. It's like, how many times do you have people want to talk to you? But how many times do people stop and listen? I'm going to stop and listen. I want to hear from people. I show up, I do the work, I participate, and I get the work done. Simple as that. It's like I just want to continue what I'm doing and take it to the next level. So experience, it really does count, because I've got a lot more knowledge now than I had early on, and I'm ready to continue to serve. And I would appreciate the support of the citizens of Iredell County, because I'm ready to continue.
And thank you for your service. Thank you for your interest in continuing. Thank you for being here today, and
Absolutely.
we wish you well in the primary.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.